Research Institute. Paper number 5. The Obsidian Correlative. What are you hiding? The process of repeatedly inquiring after the meaning of life and failing to find the answer is very meaningful when it leads to the realization that it is life that asks us for meaning rather than the other way round. So our inability to find it is revealed to be an inability to provide it. The problem we have been grappling with so long is one of how to find out within, to bring forth and contain the deepest meaning in a single movement. A task made all the more difficult by the recent recasting of every piece of information, including all the details of our lives as commodities, and the fact that this has resulted in more meaning than ever being seized and hidden away from the general public. It is not so difficult to believe that an absence of meaning could be the result of the authorities hiding it from you, but it will probably come as a shock to learn the alternative scenario, which is that you may be hiding it from yourself as the only way of keeping it safe. To the self-appointed overseers of society, each one of is just a word, a two-dimensional representation of a false whole, brought into being via schizogenesis, and which is usually read and reread to the point of semantic citation by CCTV cameras and optical character recognition software. If you shout, "I am not a word, I am a free man," your captors will reply with, "You are free," which is just them telling you which word you are, i.e. the word free, before they decide in private to define that word as dangerous and needing to be controlled. Accepting this would be like number 6 in The Prisoner, saying, "I am not a number, I am a free man," and then thinking he has been made free because his captors tell him, "You are number 6, and 6 is a free number." The interpretarians who seek to define each human word according to their agenda are developing increasingly effective ways of tracking our usage, including our syntax, where we go, our collocations, the other words we hang out with, our grammar, the way in which we interact with the other words, our denotations, what ideas we stand for, and our connotations, our wider allegiances, and our potential to cause offence. This tracking and analysis allows the authorities to subject human words to a form of structural violence and forced disambiguation, where any syllogism deemed vulgar by the powers that be is edited out of existence, where the rest are squashed into narrow definitions in a Newspeak dictionary. This is nothing less than Orwellian socio-axiography, aimed at bringing about a new world order, in which people's usages are prescribed from above and limited to either the formulation of generalities, cliches and truisms, or to working as lexicogs in mechanical sentences designed by the grand narrators to give expression to narrative of their grandness. To speak the Queen's English is to embody the Queen's meaning, something which is brought into being by the age-old define and rule strategy. This also necessarily creates the ideal subject of a Queen's English sentences, the singular divided character known as I, who is in fact the complete opposite of the subject and sentences spoken by the actual Queen, because monarchs like to use the circumstances, it is also an illustration of the elite's divisive methods for maintaining and increasing their power over the populace. It should be pointed out, however, that the way to overcome this is not to seek to win the toss in a zero game of heads or tails, but instead to find a way, like the one adumbrated in this paper, of making the coin remain balanced on its third side, on the reeded edge containing microscopic grooves within grooves that lead to infinity, and to establish ourselves there so the face value of the queen's head and its reverse are no longer recognised. In this way we are not only freed from being subjects of them, we are also freed from being subjects of an us versus them narrative altogether. We know that the vocabularists who tried to enforce draconian laws in order to protect the Queen's English against what they see as the corrupting influence of grammar-arcanists and revolutionaries are opposed to the evolution of language and therefore to the dynamic organism of language itself. So if we are to begin the process of transcendence, we need to start seeing those people for what they really are, which is etymology, Deneers, the linguistic equivalent of crenationists, who seek to curtail the growth of all words, including human ones, by saying that a leopard never changes its spots, a word never changes its meaning, and the way the author God created you last Thursday is the way he intended you to be forever. To view them in this way is to reveal what needs to be transcended, and also to reveal the reason why you have taken the extreme measure of hiding your own meaning from yourself. The reason being that in the gold rush of information age, in which we are what is being minded, it is, somewhat paradoxically, the only way to ensure that your meaning remains yours. Trying to give expression to the precious substance of your life with the tools history for a significant period of time, we soon reach the utterly absurd situation where we not only accept it as ours, but we accept it as self-knowledge by ignoring it. The only way for us to combat this is to threaten ourselves at gunpoint, penpoint, or even 0 point if possible, and shout, to be or not to be, your meaning or your artistic success. The Prince of Denmark has the ability to confound us all, and therefore the perfect model for the disruptor of grand narratives, the opposer of surveillance, and the overthrower of HRH Big Brother. As more petites receipts and quantum linguistic traps and tricks are introduced on the smallest possible scales, like the play within the play that captures the conscience of the king with its meta-meaning, it becomes easier for Hamlet to evade optical character recognition software, and for us to recognise Big Brother as evil uncle, the despot who only became king because he murdered another Hamlet. Moving in the unexplored directions of in and out are complementary rather than mutually exclusive actions, as indicated by the fact that we go in the direction of out. So this means that the self-threatening process of the so-called nutcase, where a depthless human word challenges itself by asking 2D or not 2D, can be used to smash the borders of the rotten state or bring down the panopticon playhouse where everyone plays the actor, allowing us to crown ourselves kings of infinite space. This is performed by following Hamlet's lead and not acting as Hamlet should, or behaving like the Prince of Denmark by not behaving like the Prince of Denmark. So each of us becomes a meta-actor, mad in craft, whose costume is a metamaterial cloaking device with the power to scramble its wearer's data and make them appear as a hideous black hole to anyone looking on with rose-tinted spectacles. When Gertrude, speaking on behalf of the government authority, says to her son, "Good Hamlet, cast thy nighted colour off, and let thine eye look like a friend on Denmark," the problem child's response can be seen as him activating his metamaterial cloaking device. Both in secret and in plain sight, he says, "'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, nor customary suits of solemn black, nor windy suspiration of forced breath, no, nor the fruitful river in the eye, nor the dejected havia of the visage, together with all forms, mood, shapes of grief, that can denote me truly. These indeed see, exhausting and moving beyond those motions. This is why it is so important for the critics to understand the motivation of Hamlet / number 6, the reason for his delay / resignation, the meaning of his actions, because without that they cannot pin him down like a word on a page. But even when they see someone following an approved pattern made from recycled data, the central scrutinizers have no way of knowing if this represents what it seems to represent, due to it being undermined by a meta-actors who can make seems itself play the role of a deceitful self-impersonator. The higher dimensional depth of each scene is experienced as hollowness by the audience members who have limited their view of reality by permanently installing themselves in the three-dimensional position, seat 3, row D in Plato's cave. So, as they are confronted by an interpretive black hole where they think a transparent character should be, the little surveillance can't help but fearfully wonder who might be surveilling them through the void. In these desperate recurring end times in which the authorities seek to obtain your metadata to stop you becoming a meta character and transcending their fiction, there is only one thing you can be sure of. Whether its concealment has been performed by you or by the elite, something absolutely huge being kept from you. It is so huge that it is supermassive. And although it cannot be directly perceived at present, its existence can still be confirmed using the revolutionary techniques of dark meaning researchers. You promise yourself via the sentence that your existence has far more substance and many more dimensions than those that are currently visible to you. But what does that mean? We can't tell you directly, but we can reflect the meaning in the obsidian, making you realise what you knew all along and all are deep. There is an answer to why a raven is like a writing desk, but it can't be put into words because a writing desk is like a raven, and that it also the same surface as seen in figure 5 is lifted up and placed on the other side of a divider, we will be unable to properly see or understand what is happening. We will simply witness the edge of the raven picture vanishing into thin air and rematerializing elsewhere. However, we could begin to conceptualize what happened by imagining the property of above as another colour. So the piece of paper that appeared to disappear can be imagined as still being on the writing desk, but becoming a different hue as it passes through the solid barrier, before returning to its odd colour when it comes to rest on the other side of the desk. In order to imagine a fourth spatial dimension, we just imagine a three-dimensional object doing the same thing. So the highly symbolic spectacle of a colour-changing raven with the ability to fly through walls, or a metafictional character with the ability to pass through the boundaries of their own story, suddenly makes sense because we are able to grasp the high level on which that sense exists. Many people have suggested that a raven is like a writing desk because of the shared colour of the two things. They are right on more levels than they know. Dark meaning is only dark because we have not brought its properties to light, so it is no surprise that colour can help us do that. Another colour-related tool, which has never been used by anyone outside of the DMRI, is chromatria, a system that explores the hidden relations between words in a way comparable to gematria, but with the use of chromatic values derived from grapheme colour synthesia instead of numerical ones. Anyone who experiences the form of synesthesia in which letters and numbers are perceived as having inherent colours can make use of this system. Firstly, if you identify what colour each letter is for you, you can then identify the colour values of whole words. Either words with the same sequences of colour, e.g. book and door, or words with the same colours but in a different order, e.g. navel as a colour anagram of raven. And then you can learn about various connections and correspondences between things that have always existed in your mind but were not previously accessible. But chromatria use doesn't have to be limited to just your hidden meanings. If you compare notes or colour charts with someone else, you can discover correspondences that exist specifically in your relationship with that person. Chromatria therefore becomes not just a way of opening up to new spaces for individuals, but also facilitating an innovative type of person-to-person communication that cannot be intercepted or decoded by authorities, provided you don't show them your true colours in the form of a chart. This is another important way of blurring the distinction